What's up, y'all? Sparta here. So, in able to properly compare the iPhone 11 Pro Max to pretty much anything right now, it would be to, in my honest opinion, would be to compare it to the big boy here, the LG V60. So, let's talk about this. This isn't going to be a typical versus video where I talk about why one is better than the other and just completely just do that the entire time. While I will be doing that, this is more of a time in the life of someone that is utilizing both phones to their maximum potential, and why I personally choose one phone to have my SIM card in it over the other. So, to get this out of the way, I'll say this. Both of these complement each other in very good ways. They throw punches in very interesting ways. Some land, some don't. And I guess we'll talk about that here. The iPhone is something that a lot of people say is good old reliable, right? You get it, it's easy to use, it just works, all that stuff. The V60 is more for the pro user, despite there not being any sort of pro moniker on the device itself. But it shows you pro in the sheer amount of hardware it has and the software that it leverages to push that hardware to its limits, right? Manual video mode, manual photo mode, logarithms, or LG log, and, you know, the ThinQ AI, very powerful in terms of video editing, very powerful cameras, very powerful headphone jack, and very powerful speakers. The king of audio. I don't care what anybody says. This is the king of smartphone audio. Fantastic speakers, fantastic headphone jack. And to me personally, it's a handsome phone. It's a very nice looking phone. People say, oh, it's ugly. It just looks like a Galaxy S10. No, it looks like an LG V40. You know, the phone that came out before the Galaxy S10? And it looks like a V50, except it has a ring around the camera. There's a bulge because that's a massive 64 megapixel camera. Oh, it doesn't have a telephoto lens. The iPhone does. The crop zoom works just as good. I detailed this in my iPhone 11 Pro versus V60 video, but it's pretty much the same. And what I've noticed even more on the Pro Max is that it's more apparent when it switches between the telephoto lens and the main lens. It did it in like a pretty well lit area too. And it kind of jarred me. I was like, whoa, that was noticeable. And it was just weird, right? There are certain things about the iPhone that I do indeed like, right? I feel like the gesture-based user interface, while clunky and inconsistent in how they implement it, I do feel that it matches the iPhone far more than it matches Android. Like, that's why I don't use gestures on Android. I do on like my OnePlus 6T, but that's because I don't really use that as my main phone. So if it were my main phone, I probably would still just have the regular navigation buttons on there. But yeah, the crop zoom with this 64 megapixel sensor, honestly, you can't really, there are very particular things that you'll have to pixel peep to see, but the iPhone will sharpen. The V60, if you go on the 64 megapixel mode, I don't know if this got fixed because I have an AT&T V60, so I can't get updates unless I get an AT&T SIM card. So, yeah, basically running off of launch software right now. And, or as close to launch as possible. And, nothing is really broken. Everything still feels very smooth. In fact, I've had like very little hiccups, very little hitches on the V60, and I've had quite a bit on the iPhone. There's like age-old Android type issues that the iPhone has, or that I've seen, that, like, say I'll do that and it will not do anything, right? Or there will be some times where it'll pause before it opens the app. It's not doing it here because I'm recording a video, but it'll do that. Give me a second. Now, where was I going? Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a couple inconsistencies with this, right? For one, iOS 14.0.1 kind of messed with the battery. I wasn't able to tell beforehand, like, when it first came, but after, like, utilizing it for a little bit and testing it and all that stuff, it does indeed drop battery quite a bit. And in cases, the LTE modem in this and the antennas of this are very poor, right? You will I have good connection. My apartment, I don't have the best Wi-Fi, but I have, good enough Wi-Fi to watch 1080p 60 frames per second YouTube videos, even like stream from YouTube and stuff like that. Watch streams on there and watch Twitch depending on the bit rate of who is streaming, But here at my mom's house, I have 5 gigahertz internet, so there's no problem. And, yeah, I will have, like, there were times where I had the case on the phone, which is this spec case, this spec gel case, which is quite thick around the borders here, and it's very durable, and it looks nice, It would stutter and then buffer. I've never seen that on a phone before. It would, like, slow down the audio and the video and buffer. I've never seen that on a phone before. Apple, if you're gonna go into 5G, what you guys need to do is improve your antennas and improve your radios, because this is unacceptable for what I think is a $1,200 phone, I think. So, and what will be the same for the 12 Pro Max. It's unacceptable for $1,300 phone. It's just not good. And that's all I really want to say on that. But in terms of like display quality and stuff like that, it's a very nice display. I got it to where OLED, the OLED display is maximized. I don't see the notch ever. Same on the V60. I don't see the camera bump or the camera notch anywhere, really. Like, even where I should be able to see it, like right there, you can't see it, really, because the OLED display on both of these are very nice. The V60s is definitely brighter, though. It's definitely brighter. So let me actually find the same photo. Give me a second. Okay, so here's a photo of a wallpaper of, Battle Angel Alita here. And it's not necessarily the brightest photo ever or anything like that, but what I've seen quite a bit is that the difference in contrast between the two is kind of jarring. And this also goes into, like, say, video when you're watching YouTube, or photos when you're taking them and stuff like that. Oh, God, I hate that so much. Come on, Hangouts. So, what you probably can't tell on the, you probably can't tell since I'm recording with a phone camera, but the color tone in terms of, like, say, her skin and all that stuff is richer on the V60. Her lips look a little more brownish, not brown, but I can't really say what color that is. It's a more vibrant image on the V60 while not looking Samsung over punchy when it comes to, like, the vibrance and the saturation. The iPhone looks natural and it looks satisfying, don't get me wrong. But if you want a wallpaper, you want that to punch, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the same photo that's of this on here, which I also... Come on, dude. Get off. So let me find it here. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's not even it. I guess I'll just find this version of the photo too on the V60. I guess it would technically be a better fit. So let me go back to Hangouts here. Apologies for this. I should have been prepared, but this was kind of an off-the-cuff video, like a lot of my videos tend to be. But yeah, let's zoom in here and zoom in on here a little bit more. And honestly, with this particular photo, the colors aren't necessarily off that much. They both look good here, but there's a bit more vibrance on the V60. It does seem a little bit brighter, and say in terms of like watching YouTube content or something like that, right? That's where I've seen it the most, where a lot of the time the iPhone would look a bit dull. Not dull in terms of, oh, it just looks bad, but it looks muted in terms of the brightness a lot of the times. And Apple has this like auto brightness that I can't seem to find a way to turn off. So it does that. And I don't necessarily mind it because it does it really well, honestly. So I just keep it on. But in terms of like overall brightness and stuff like that, the V60 definitely takes the win. I was able to see it in like bright outdoor, in this bright sunlight and stuff like that, no problem. Whereas this, I've struggled to see it a little bit less. I've struggled to see it a little bit more than the V60. I had no struggles on here, but here was like, compared to like the Note 10, I think the Note 10 was a little bit easier to see. This is like the third on that scale of easiest to see outdoors. So V60, Note 10, this. And the Note 10 and this are like a very slim margin. It's not even like a vast like landscape of difference. It's pretty much the same. But overall, it's like night and day when I go to the V60, and it's like it's blasting my eyes with brightness, which I know is not good, but you know, people like that. People like bright displays, and this phone has a bright display. So yeah, let's talk about design here. Overall, in terms of like, say, wanting to rock the phone without a case, I'd give it more to the iPhone than I'd give to the V60. Mainly because of this frosted glass back that they, you know, lifted from Google with the Pixel 3. But it looks nice. It feels more metal-like than it does glass. But when you look in certain angles, you could definitely tell it's glass, right? Whereas this, it's shiny, glossy glass, but it looks nice to me. And it doesn't really slip like that. It actually is well balanced, and it feels nice, and I don't feel like I'll drop the phone ever. While the aluminum sides are definitely smooth, they don't feel slippery. And this has an added benefit of having mil standard 810G. Sure, that's not going to protect your glass-backed phone from the elements completely, but it'll make it easier for when, say, you drop your phone, the screen gets shattered, but the internals are totally fine. Or they'll be more well kept than, say, a phone without it. So that's really nice too. Plus, if you just add a case that also has mil standard 810G, you'll also get something like that, even more protection. So let's talk about display quality overall, though. This has a sort of Quad HD display. This has a 1080p display. What I'll tell you is, say in YouTube content and stuff like that, in the YouTube app, you only get 1080p on the iPhone. And you only get 1080p here because of the 1080p display. So, in terms of looking at them both, the V60 definitely looks sharper, right? Not like over-sharpened, and not like, oh, it's night and day sharper. But there were some times on certain videos, say like Linus Tech Tips or something like that, where the video looked a bit blurry, even at 1080p, and it was it kind of felt off. And I went to the V60 and was like, oh, this is kind of night and day here. Not night and day. I don't know why I keep saying that. This is noticeable, but not to the point where I would say the iPhone is a terrible screen or anything like that. He was like, you don't see pixels. You see pixels on this display. I don't give a damn. I don't give a crap what the Retina display is, dude. You can see it. And it's not very difficult to, it's not very difficult to see that. What else? Let's talk about speakers. Now, I can't really play music, sadly, but what I will say is that when I first tested this on, say, the iPhone 11 Pro Max, those speakers were the iPhone 11 Pro, sorry. The speakers are underwhelming. They felt very and these are kind of the same way. They only really feel great when the phone is like when your phone is, say, right here next to your, not next to your face, but a good amount of distance from your face, and the phone is at full volume and it sounds very nice there. But say if you put it down and you walk away, you won't really hear it all that well. The V60, despite not having boombox, these speakers get loud. Now, obviously, you got to do a couple of things to make that happen. It's not necessarily hard. For example, all I really did was go to the equalizer. I have a max volume setting, and it changes, and it's really nice. And I also turn on LG 3D, the 3D sound engine, and it just sounds very nice and very cool. When you're obviously just listening through stuff through the speakers, like watching videos and stuff like that. Music, I still would advise you to just turn that off. Maybe keep max volume on. I don't know. I didn't really check if it distorts all that much, but in terms of like stuff like that, and in terms of like videos and watching YouTube, I would say the V60 is definitely the better buy. A bigger display, bigger battery, so you get better battery life, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And overall, it's just the better option for media, personally. And I wouldn't necessarily call the iPhone a communicator, because there are certain things about that phone in terms of, like, say, texting. Calling's fine. Calling works like calling should on both of these phones, but texting, there's, even on using Gboard on both, there's just something a little bit off with the iPhone. But yeah, I guess I'll just play a sample here real quick. I don't have any music on the iPhone because it has 64 gigs of internal storage, but I guess I'll just, what's up, y'all? Sparty here. So, initially I just wanted to have a base video to talk about the cameras on both the LG V60 and the iPhone 11 Pro, but since I'm giving this to my girlfriend today, I don't have the time to send over photos and all that stuff. So I'm just going to show you guys from the phones itself. I'm sorry about this, but this is just, it's the better option to do, right? Alright, so let me, let's do this. This way you'll also get a good test of both displays, and both are at max brightness. So let's do this here. 3, 2, 1. What's up, y'all? Sparty here. So, initially I just wanted to have a base video to talk about the cameras on both the LG V60 and the iPhone 11 Pro, but since I'm giving this to my girlfriend today, I don't have the time to send over photos and all that stuff. So I'm just going to show you guys from the phones itself. I'm sorry about this, but this is just, it's the better option to do right now. So, yeah. Okay, so obviously that's not the best. I guess I'll just look up some royalty-free music as well, just to show you guys how that would sound overall. But I guess I'll just do what other people do and do NCS. All right. It's kind of crazy. As you guys can probably hear a little bit, the V60 definitely does get louder. But the base thing I will indeed say with this is that the V60 doesn't get too loud to the point where it distorts. That's something that I tend to see a lot with a lot of speakers. Say on my Note 10, for example, right? The Note 10 has dual speakers, right? The same way that this has it and this has it. But what the Note 10 will do is that you can clearly hear that one is imbalanced because more volume will come out of one speaker than the other, and it'll alternate. It's kind of weird, but you can hear it. Where these are more better matched compared to, say, the Note 10. Both of these have really good speakers. I'd give the edge to the V60 solely because you could go into those options and crank it up even more if that's what you want. I typically have that for when I want to watch videos, and that's basically what I do it for. The iPhone is definitely no slouch either, but in terms of which one I would just lay in the center of, say, my coffee table at home and just listen to, like, say, a podcast or listen to some music or watch some, fighting game tournaments or something like that, the V60 is definitely the one I would go with in terms of that. In terms of corded audio, obviously it's the V60. Don't really have to talk about that. So, yeah, I'm going to just get that out the way. Want corded audio? V60. The iPhone is more focused on Bluetooth, right? Wireless, true wireless. And the V60 honestly does it better. Where, say, my LG Tone Freeze, for example, I know they're LG branded, so they might work a little bit better on the LG. But I tested this on my Note, I tested this on my OnePlus, and they worked fine on there too. They worked just as good. There was some disconnection issues. It wasn't much, but it was enough to the point where I'm like, yeah, I kind of wouldn't want to listen to this in terms of, like, say, for music or something like that. I would actually have to get some AirPods Pro for these. And I've listened to AirPods Pro. I like them, but they're just not for me personally. So, yeah. Overall, in terms of podcasts, I would say V60, they're on par. They are. And that's what I typically use Bluetooth for anyway. Battery life. Consistently before iOS 14.0.1 anyway, I was able to get like 8, 9, maybe 8.5 hours of screen on time out of this phone. The lowest would maybe be 7. Out of this phone, I can consistently get 12 hours of screen on time. No problem. Gaming, say 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, I was able to get 9 hours and 21 minutes. King of Fighters All-Star, I was able to get 6 hours and 40 minutes. And these are graphically intensive games. They're not just your basic run-of-the-mill, like, say, 2D side-scrollers or anything like that. They're highly intensive, a lot of effects and stuff like that. So I tested it on both of these. On here, I definitely took screenshots, so let me look. On the iPhone here, let me find the Photos app. And let me go down to screenshots. The most I was able to get out 7 Deadly Sins here is 5 hours and 10 minutes. Let me see if I can find one that has, let me see if I can find one that has, no, I don't think I took a screenshot of that, but I definitely, I think it was around the same amount of time. I think it was around 6 to 7 hours for King of Fighters All-Star on here. Crap. Ooh, no. But, yeah, 6 to 7 hours on here, but either way, neither are a slouch in any way. And it's just something that I like a lot. Big phones require big batteries and big battery life, right? Both of these satisfy that need. And I hope with the iPhone 12 Pro Max, they go even farther with that. I hope they do a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. That would be insane. They're probably not gonna. They're probably just gonna stick with the same size, which if they do, is basically 4,000 milliamp hours. That's great too. But you know, I would just like to see an iPhone with a big boy battery. It would be nice. A lot of people say, "Oh, nothing competes with the iPhone in terms of endurance." Well, I'll say nothing. Well, nothing that I've ever messed with has competed with the V60 in terms of endurance. And the iPhone comes very close. So either or, you're not going to really have an issue. Say podcasts, I would get off of work an 8-hour day, and I would have like, say, 72% left. 60 to 72% left. Here I'd have 72 to 75. So they're kind of similar in that regard. And they both are basically all-day batteries, no problem. The V60 can definitely get pushed to 2 days, depending on what you do. But since I do a lot of intensive stuff on my phone, obviously, I'm not going to get that unless I really push it right. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that stuff. In terms of, like, call quality, both have very good call quality. This gets 5G, this only gets LTE. But LTE is still plenty fast, so that's not necessarily an issue. Both sound clear in terms of the earpiece. Haptics on both of these phones are great. I would say it's kind of a toss-up. It's kind of equal. I like what Apple does with its haptics a little bit more. Say when your phone is in your pocket and you press the volume up button on here, it'll do a little vibrate to tell you, oh, you are at max volume. Whereas on this, you'll just basically know. But yeah. That's all I really got to say. I don't really know what else to say. The cameras on both are great. I would say the V60 definitely leans towards a slightly more punchy photo. The iPhone does a more like Instagram ready photo, you know, and stuff like that. But the V60 can definitely do that too. There's no issue with that. You will see a lot of natural grain from the lens, depending on, like, say, like dark, low-lit environments and stuff like that. But it doesn't look bad at all. Actually, it looks actually very nice. Let me bring one up. So, for example, you probably can't see it all that well, but as you guys can see, there's grain here, right? But what it does is it kind of looks like a photo taken off of a camera, and it looks very nice. I took quite a bit of photos comparing these two. Let me find one in particular where I feel both of them did really well in different ways. So on the V60, I feel it did really well by capturing the overall lighting of the scene a little bit better. The iPhone seems to get a little bit darker, but honestly, that's only really because it's a smaller sensor overall. the V60 will pick up more light. But honestly, I like both of these photos just as much as the other. Let me make sure that's actually the one, though. Because I took so many. Where are they at? Where are they? Yeah, that's definitely it. Plus, there's a lot more information in the V60's photo. They both look really nice. There's a little bit more lens flare on the iPhone, but overall, I like the way both of these photos look. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. Both of these phones are really nice. I really do like these a lot. I'm planning on keeping both of these, but I'm going back to the V60 as my main phone. I just have to. I need that headphone jack. I need that battery. Just that little extra battery is nice. It's a bigger phone, so it fits me more. There's just a lot more stuff about the V60 that I prefer over the iPhone. That's not to say the iPhone is trash. It's not. But it's not the top dog for me. It's just not. The V60 still remains that for me personally. Until I get other phones. I do plan on getting the Note 20 Ultra. We'll see, though. I do plan on getting the Xperia 5 Mark II. I want to get the 1 Mark II, but that's still like $1,200, so I don't know about that. So we'll see. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys feel about this. Have a V60, have an iPhone, let me know in the comment section below. This is Sparta. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the support. Hope you guys have a wonderful Friday, whatever time of day it is in your area. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share with people that are interested in this sort of content, and see you guys in the next video.